What does a Winnebago, a pizza, and Combs have in common?
Welcome to Retro Film Review, where we like to take a look at movies that shaped our generation.
I'm Ed.
And I'm Thor. And today we're going to look at the 1987 movie Spaceballs, which was written and directed by Mel Brooks.
But first, like and subscribe to this video. And if you haven't taken a chance, take a look at our other movies that are on our channel.
In a galaxy very, 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 very far away, there was a ruthless group of people known as Spaceballs. And their leaders foolishly squandered all their fresh-breathing air. And so they had a secret plan to take all fresh available air from their peace-loving planet neighbor, planet Druidia. But in their attempt to do so, they actually capture Princess Vespa on her wedding day. So King Roland, her father, was willing to pay $1 million space bucks to Lone Star, Space Renegade, to get her back. Everybody got that?
You know, this movie's set up very similar to a very favorite film of mine.
What's that?
I think that would be Star Wars.
You like Star Wars?
Just a wee bit. Those who know me, yes. So especially the opening scene
Yes.
from Star Wars has the ship that flies overhead, and you get a long view of the ship from underneath.
No, Spaceballs has that. Spaceballs has the long ship. The Spaceball 1.
They have a longer ship. They take it to another level.
It's like a minute 30 of film time when that thing goes by, and
Yeah.
it has the Jaws theme.
Yes.
And do you remember what the license plate or the bumper sticker says?
We break for nobody.
That's right.
Yes.
We break for nobody.
Which imagine it's kind of hard to break in outer space.
I still don't know how they get going. I mean, there's propulsion. You have to go off something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the scene opens up, well, on Spaceball 1, where they're coming to planet Druidia. And to me, it's one of the funniest parts, because you see Lord Helmet, which is a parody of Darth Vader. But it's Rick Moranis, and he's in like a oversized Darth Vader helmet, basically. It's massive. But
And like black jogging shorts. It's really what it looks like.
Black leggings, black jogging shorts. Now his tie.
And a black tie.
But the black tie has two circles up here in a black tie, so it kind of references a little something else.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught on to that.
I did.
But when he walks up, and of course Darth Vader has the... Well, when he walks up, he's... And he flips open the mask. I can't breathe in this thing. I know I'm getting ahead about favorite scenes, but that is one of my favorite. That's probably the first time I laughed in that movie.
It's a good entrance. It's a
very good entrance, because it sets you right in there.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know what you're in for.
Oh, yes. With Rick Moranis in that role, definitely.
Yeah.
And, of course, as you can tell, that's who the movie... We should be talking all about Rick Moranis in this movie. Lord Dark Helmet, but there's other people in here as well.
Right. But Rick Moranis made this movie. I mean...
Oh, yes.
He was the star the whole way.
Oh, yeah. Well, you had some like Bill Pullman, who played Lone Star. It was one of his first roles kind of in a major film.
Yeah, it was previously in Ruthless People,
Right.
But he had a small role, which is the one I think Mel Brooks saw him in, and then wanted him to come in. But he was not the first cast. He was not the first choice for this.
There was quite a few people. But I know the latter two were Tom Hanks and I think Tom Cruise.
Yep, two Toms. And I could not imagine those two in that role at all.
No, not in that comedy role, not like that.
No.
I mean, I know Tom Hanks, especially at this time with all the comedy that he was in, but not in that role. Sometimes you can see actors and actresses switching places in different movies, but not that one.
No.
So, and talking about Rick Moranis, which I could talk the whole movie about him, or this whole review, he's the one who suggested John Candy come and be Barf.
Right. Which was a Chewbacca takeoff.
Yep. And so Mel Brooks said and of course, obviously, John Candy agreed, but he said, if we're going to have John Candy, we're going to see his face, because otherwise we can put whoever behind a mask and it won't matter.
Yeah.
So that's why he's dressed the way he is, with the wig and the little patch for a dog.
That's why he has good eye makeup.
Yeah. Which I kind of thought was funny, because in Ghostbusters, John Candy was going to play Louis Tully.
Yeah.
And he recommended Rick Moranis whenever he turned it down. He says, you ought to give this to Rick Moranis. So it's kind of a little bit of payback.
Just helping him out.
Yeah, well, they were both from Canada. They both were on SCTV. And so they had a long history together.
Right.
So
It's too bad they didn't really have any scenes together, though.
no, actually, there wasn't a scene where they were in the same scene at all in this movie. But that's okay.
We'll still take it.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that you're not a huge fan of this. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way.
So yes, I'll go ahead and say I am not. Well, there are parts of this movie that I like, and I am a huge Star Wars fan, but this is not my favorite movie. I do like Mel Brooks films, but I know it's okay. You're gonna be fine. We'll live through this. But this is not my favorite. Ouch. So yeah, sorry.
What Mel Brooks film is your favorite?
So Young Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein.
I knew he was going to do that.
We rehearsed it. I'm kidding, we didn't.
No, I think, and I'll go ahead and say this. What takes me out of this is just, well, I understand it's a spoof, and I do like spoof movies. Airplane is one of my favorite spoof movies of all time. But it's also it's smartly done. Whereas
what, Airplane?
Yes,
it's just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. Drinking problem. I love Airplane too, so don't misunderstand.
Yeah, but I think that Airplane to me still holds up the test of time versus this, and we can talk about that a little bit later about why I don't think that. But let's go ahead and talk about. I do have some favorite parts of this movie that I do like. So, and I'm happy to discuss all of this.
Well, go ahead.
All right.
Give me a little something.
Well, I do like the scene where... Now, I don't like the part that they have the videotapes of this movie.
Oh, my God.
But I love the scene that follows that.
Are you kidding me?
No, I don't like the fact they had to go rewind it. But when they get up to the point in time where they're doing the who's on first, what's on second routine with this, that, and then, that was hilarious. But I don't like the fact they had to go and do the Mel Brooks library in the cabinet.
If that's the part you're talking about, but when they go back and forth.
No, that's hilarious.
Okay.
No, that's hilarious. No, I'm talking about, I don't like the fact that you had to go, that they had us. I don't know what's going to happen next, so let's go watch the movie. And they speed it up, and I thought that was contrived, but that's what I'm saying. What followed that, what led into that scene of the who's on first and that part, because that was comic genius and great timing.
No, one of my favorite lines, and we talk about social media a lot on here, different threads when people put Spaceball. What's your favorite line? I always put, when will then be now? Soon.
Oh, yes.
Probably my favorite line from the whole thing. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but no, just the concept is funny. It's like, how do you have the video out? Why wouldn't you just fast forward to the end, the entire end, and see what happened?
Plot hole.
Plot hole. But everything in there was listed. Mr. Coffee, right next to Mr. Radar, and Mr. Rental.
Well, again, and that brings me to my point of, I don't like when you have pop culture or modern references in a film that is fantasy or science fiction that takes place in another realm or in outer space. Because to me, it limits what you can do. And I get it because it's funny at that time, and maybe I enjoyed it more back in the late 80s, seeing it then, than what I do now. But I don't necessarily remember how well I thought of it back then. But
they don't have video rentals now. Blockbusters are gone, and all those different. They have Redbox.
And the kids don't know what a VHS is.
Yeah, no. So I get that. And maybe, movies a lot of times are set, but in the period that they're in. Now, Star Wars is not. Star Wars is all in the future. There's no references
to... A long time ago.
A long time ago. That was chapter 4, man. That was a long time ago. So, no, I know. And I guess I can still put myself back in the 80s. I have Mr. Coffee at my house right now, a coffee pot. But I don't have Mr. Radar or Mr. Rental. So I guess kids today wouldn't quite get that.
Yeah.
Getting the VHS or... that'd be like saying, go download it right now, but we haven't even finished filming it.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it loses some luster there, but still the scene to me is iconic.
No, well, like I said, I think there's certain parts of the movie that I think are great, but the concept of getting to that sometimes is lost.
Well, what Mel Brooks that I've seen likes to do is he'll take a joke and just keep running with it.
Right.
The same joke. Now, this is different, and we'll go into why this is different, because you
merchandising.
So, and we'll go into that on why that's a running gag.
There's a whole other story.
Yeah, there's a whole other story. But you mentioned Young Frankenstein. Well, when they mention the woman's name, the horse neighs in the background every time. Frau Brooke or whatever her name is. And so the horse neighs in the background. It's like Frau Brooke. So we're not here to talk about that movie. We'll get to that one because that is an amazing one. I love Gene Wilder.
So what are some of your favorite scenes?
Yes, the whole thing. No, there's so many. There's some things that aren't my favorite scenes. Pretty much almost anything with Rick Moranis, I love. One of my favorite scenes was completely improv by him, and he's playing with the dolls.
Yeah. His action figures. No, sir, I did not see you playing with your dolls again. But Mel Brooks gave him the dolls, the action figures, whatever, the little figures, and said, here, just do something with it. So the whole little scene that you see is just completely improvised, and it's just hilarious. And then, of course, Colonel Sanders comes in. Right.
He said, I'm not,
Yeah.
Did you see anything? No, sir, I did not see you playing with your dolls again. Good.
Well, and for at the time, for those of you who don't know, but Star Wars kind of perfected the little 3-inch action figures, which is kind of these were action figures of the characters within the movie. And so I had a whole slew of them, and yes, you're sitting at home, playing with them. So there's a lot of that. Oh, hush.
You played with action figures.
They're collectibles.
Yes, now they are. Yeah, I got G.I. Joe collectibles. So
yeah.
Paid too much for them.
Yeah.
My wife would agree. So, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Favorite scenes. Some people's favorite scenes are not my favorites. A lot of people like that long ship. I like when they're about to go to ludicrous speed. And they're like, close down the 3-ring circus and, fasten all seatbelts and do all that. It's just the hustle. And then, of course, Rick Moranis, I talk too much about him. But anyway, he's just, I don't care. I want to go. So when they go to ludicrous speed, they go straight from light speed, not even light speed. They go past light speed, past ridiculous speed to ludicrous speed, which turns a plaid square on the screen there. So some of the scenes that people like, I don't know. Towards the very end, when the head comes down, and you got like Planet of the Apes. This movie doesn't just spoof Star Wars. There's references to Star Trek, Star Wars, of course, The Wizard of Oz, Planet of the Apes.
And my favorite one of the movie is the parody of Alien at the very end.
Yes.
So, and that's the one where John Hurt, who was in the original Alien, was brought back to reprise his role, and the chest bursting scene, and the alien pops out and does a little song and dance leading out to the
hello my day, hello my
well,
darling.
and what's great is that, and I don't know, do you remember the Bugs Bunny cartoon with that song on it, where they had the frog?
Oh yeah.
I still love that today. If you don't know that, go YouTube it. It's a frog that sings, and every time he tries to get I don't know if it's not even Bugs Bunny in that one, is it? It's
No.
just but it's a Looney Tunes.
Right.
But every time the guy who owns the frog tries to get somebody else to see it, they just rib it. But anyways, I digress. But it was that song that he did, which was harken back to my childhood.
But John Hurt did that as a favor to Mel Brooks. So, and he didn't get paid for it.
No, he didn't get paid for it? No. Well, he was in it for...
He was supposed to make a cameo, and then, of course, when they got there, Mel Brooks was like, hey, how about we reenact the chest bursting scene? Okay, why not? I actually like when, again, Rick Moranis, I told you, he tries to bring Princess Vespa out from Yogurt's hiding spot.
Mm-hmm.
And he disguises himself through illusion.
Magic.
He disguises himself as her father, as King Roland. And, of course, she's like, Daddy, is that really you? And he goes, would I lie? And he starts looking all around. I just love it. Would I lie? I say that a lot.
Maybe. What did you think about Daphne Zunga as Princess Vespa?
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
You mean besides her looks?
I'll tell you for...
That was wrong.
Yeah.
Talking about an actress.
We're talking about acting, yeah.
Professional actress.
Yeah.
No, she was great because they were looking at some other people for that, I think. Maybe not. No, they saw her and Ruthless People?
No, she wasn't Ruthless People. That was Bill Pullman.
That's right.
Which you got to know. Bill Pullman versus Bill Paxton. This is Pullman. Paxton's Aliens. Jim Cameron. But... yeah, no, she went in for the audition thinking that she wasn't going to get anything, and they liked her, but what they told her was she said, I don't have the comic timing or chops that everybody else does. He goes, well, we need the straight man, a lot of times is the funny person.
Right.
And so they wanted her to be really just play it straight. Now, and this is kind of where... I understand it, but I think she comes off as too ditzy. But I know she's playing kind of the rich, spoiled princess, and I kind of look at her kind of like Alicia Silverstone in Clueless.
As if
The Cher character there, who was just aloof and had no idea about what the whole world was going on. But so it was to me. It was a little bit too much, but I get it. So, but she got better as the movie went on. But her character also softened a little bit as the movie went on.
Well, yeah. She came off of her high horse being, you got to respect me because I'm the princess.
Right.
This is the life I live, and you were beneath me, I think.
Yeah.
And so she comes to realize, no, you're not beneath me. You're a person. You have these qualities.
Yeah.
You're important.
I mean, I know I'm still comparing that to Princess Leia, who was more commanding as a princess instead of whiny as a princess. But
is there any comparison between the two, really, though?
Well, they both had little bagel buns on their hair, but she got to take hers off when she took off her headphones.
That's another good scene. If you haven't seen
that was a good sight gag. I did that. I like that. That was funny.
You need to watch. We need to have a reaction channel where you can watch this and I can teach you what's funny. I know comedy. I know funny, and that's funny. Well, let's talk about the name Spaceballs real quick. Do you know what the original name was supposed to be?
Planet Moron.
Very good. And that movie title got changed because there was a movie that came out in 1985 called Morons in Space. Right? No. Morons from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it was from 1985. I don't know who saw it because you had like Back to the Future, Goonies. Some of these other ones. I wouldn't have known it's out there, but I guess they didn't want to make it look like it was a sequel or something coming from that. So they changed it. They had space in the name, and from what I've researched, they couldn't think of space what? And apparently Mel Brooks spilled a drink on his hand. Maybe it was hot, and he went, balls. And I think the co-writer or something said, that's what it needs to be.
Okay.
Spaceballs. When they spoof this, the Dinks.
The Jawas.
The Jawa look-alike, the Dinks. Did you know there's a novelization of this? Like they did a lot of books in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
and it was written by R.L. Stine when he gave them names.
Oh, really?
Yes, and in case you're interested, and you're watching, so you are, there was Rinky Dink, Blinky Dink, Stinky Dink, Pinky Dink, Finky Dink, and Winky Dink.
There was no Shrinky Dinks?
No Shrinky Dinks, no. That's probably trademarked, so... But, you know, that's one thing there.
Which I actually thought it was interesting that R.L. Stine, who did the Goosebumps series,
Yes.
did the novelization for it.
Yes. He did he did Goosebumps, he did Choose Your Own Adventure, or Twist the Plot.
Yeah. And Fear Street, which is now going on Netflix.
He's a master of writing, that is for sure. Did you know? And Mel Brooks plays two characters in here. He plays Yogurt, which you see right here, and it's kind of a play on Yoda. So,
and then the President.
President Scroob, which is spelled Skroob, but that's an anagram for the last name Brooks. You mentioned when John Hurt was at the Space Diner, which is Gus's Galaxy Grill, about the scene. Did you know, since you're a Star Wars fan,
yes,
what was out there?
Yes.
In the parking
lot is a very faint Millennium Falcon. But if you're looking to the right of the screen, you will see it.
Yep.
It is not exactly, but it is about 90% close. I'm sure it couldn't be exactly due to trademark or copyright or intellectual property or whatever they call it.
All of it.
All of the above.
So another thing about Star Wars, because George Lucas, who created Star Wars, Mel Brooks went to him with the script or the screenplay or whatever and said, I want you to take a look at this. I don't want to offend you or anything like that. You don't like it, tell me. You want to change something, let me know. George Lucas loved it. Now, he had a couple stipulations, and one of them, as we already talked about, one of the running gags was you can't have any merchandise. He was afraid that a lot of the Spaceballs merchandise would take away from Star Wars merchandise.
Right.
But honestly, I don't know if it would, because Spaceballs came out in 1987. The last Star Wars at the time came out in 1983, which was Return of the Jedi. So
right,
as far as toy production, 4 years is a long time.
And things have started to kind of die down with
that's
the
what I'm
Star Wars
saying.
line at that time, yeah. And honestly, you mentioning not only that, but I do think that this movie would have probably been a little bit, maybe, and I think it was still received well, but I think it would have been a lot better if it had been closer to when Star Wars originally came out. To me, they waited too long to put this out.
Yeah.
George Lucas was also fine because Mel Brooks decided to use his digital company to do all of the special effects.
That's right. Paid him $5 million out of the $25 million budget that they had, whatever it was. It was like the highest budget that Mel Brooks ever had for any film. But they spent $5 million on ILM, which was George Lucas's company, to do all that. So, and you kind of told me that you weren't really excited about it.
No, I thought they did not get their $5 million worth. It looks really bad green screen, and I get it's probably supposed to be a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of movies that are supposed to be cheesy, supposed to have a little bit of poor special effects, so it kind of blends in with the whole thing. I mean, I get it if everything else looked top notch and then the acting is over the top, they don't blend well together. But
imagine the quality you get now for $5 million. Not a lot.
No.
Have to go to film school and be like, hey, what can you do for me?
Well, and that's what, $5 million back then is probably close to what, 20 million, 25 million now for inflation of what they do.
If you're a mathematician, comment and let us know after you subscribe.
I mean, the lightsabers look the same.
Well, yeah.
It's just a...
Well, people criticize that the lightsaber colors and this and that aren't what they should be for good versus evil, because Dark Helmet had a green one.
Right.
Well, like Luke Skywalker had a green one.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, wait a minute. I'm like, you're going down to that level of picking the movie apart?
Yeah, I think that's a little picky.
So
I didn't even... I mean, I saw that, but I was like, it's all right.
Yeah. So
okay, but if we're talking about lightsabers, and
water break,
use their Schwartz ring to do the lightsaber. But then the Schwartz ring, according to Yogurt, meant nothing and was from a Cracker Jack box. Then what produces the lightsaber?
I don't know. Well, he didn't use the lightsaber after that scene when he lost the ring.
Right.
He just used the Force, the Schwartz.
Yeah.
So, you see, I didn't even want to go in that route. I don't know.
Plot holes. It's okay.
It's a spoof. Of course there's going to be plot holes.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I guess someone who doesn't really love the movie is going to pick it apart. But that's okay.
It's all right.
Did you know when we talk about the merchandising, that was another little favorite scene of mine when he's talking about merchandising. This is Yogurt speaking, and he's got his little dinks there, the little Jawas. He's picking up items. Spaceballs the cereal box, or the cereal. Spaceballs the coloring book, the lunchbox. Both the coloring book and the lunchbox have Optimus Prime. It's Transformer.
Yes, I saw that.
It's a Transformer lunchbox and a Transformer coloring book, and they just slap the word Spaceballs on it.
Yeah. Well, but you know, in that time period, whenever they were doing toys, they would rebrand toys all the time. So I'm sure that's what that was alluding to.
Probably.
I mean, they had to have. There's always a reason.
Oh, always.
So, but I saw that.
Mel Brooks doesn't do anything by chance.
No.
But then the fun part, and this is one thing I comment on social media a lot too. You know, Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Yes,
kids love this one.
And if you go back to our Ghostbusters, we'll preview that there.
Yes, I did. So you got to go back. That's our first video. May have a Ghostbusters revisited one time.
Yes, but yeah, no, I thought that was hilarious, and it's true because I mean that's just playing off of everything that Star Wars did. I mean, Star Wars has the C-3POs cereal and lunchboxes and coloring books and all that kind of stuff that we all had when we were young. So
I'm surprised with the spoof that they didn't make Dot Matrix, the robot, which she's not on there, to be like C-3PO with the different colored leg. C-3PO has not
the white and the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Yeah. So do you know? Okay. So Ronald Joan Rivers was the voice for it, and she gets her Joan Rivers-isms for her first line. You know what that line is?
No.
Can we talk?
Oh yeah. Because
Joan Rivers had a television show I guess she was interviewed people or whatever, and that was her line. Can we talk? And but talking about lines that people say, and I guess this is more Chris Farley's line, but John Candy got his one ad lib in with the seatbelt after they landed, where he tries to get up and he has a seatbelt on and totally forgot about it, and he goes, "Oh, that's going to leave a mark." And I don't know if that's like I said, Chris Farley always said that. I think that was in Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
And so, which was well after John Candy.
That came out in 94?
Somewhere around there, yeah. But, yeah. And Chris Farley, was he Canadian?
Yes.
All right. So maybe it's all the Canucks up there. Let us know. Is that a popular saying? So
I love Nova Scotia, so I'm not cutting on Canada at all.
So do you know, though, about the person that was actually in Dot Matrix?
I don't remember her name, which I should know. I should have written it down with all my other notes. But I know she was a famous mime.
Yeah, her last name was Yarnell.
Okay.
And so there was in the 70s, a lot of variety shows. And so it was Shields and Yarnell were a popular mime duo. And I totally forgot about that they existed. It's kind of lost art. Nobody cares about it anymore. But yeah, she was very famous, probably like the prior decade. So what is your final take on the film, and how fond is it in your heart?
Oh, it's in my heart. I differ from Ed on this completely because we were talking before we started filming, and I still think it holds up today. There are some scenes that people like we talked about, Mr. Rental and stuff like that they won't getting VCRs, or whenever the Pizza the Hut versus, Jabba the Hutt. There's certain things that won't match because the one announcer says like Rocky 5,000.
Right.
In the 80s, it was Rocky films, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they kept coming out, and so that's why it was a joke. But see, people today won't understand that. But despite that, I still think it holds up because it's still a good story, and it's got a nice story arc, good character development, stuff like that. But
yeah,
I know you go ahead and say your part.
Well, no, it's just and really the funny thing with the Rocky is that they had just come out with Rocky 4 probably about 2 years prior, and Rocky 5 came out like 4 years later, and coming up soon is basically Rocky 9 with the third Creed movie. And so they were not too far off there.
Yeah.
But I just those things where you're quoting Rocky, they mentioned Rambo, they talk about Mr. Coffee, even while the Winnebago is hilarious, but it is an old,
They still have Winnebagos now.
Well, yeah, you don't see them as much. It's like the 1980 version that they have.
Well, it was 1980s.
So, but it just all those kind of things. It just to me it dates it. I just like I said, I don't like it where you reference stuff that's in the present time that's not supposed to be there. I mean, I don't like it when you use pop songs in movies that are not in today's world. I really did. You're gonna hate this, and I did not like the Spaceballs song at the end of it. I thought that was super cheesy. And then there was a bear that went into an escape pod. I mean,
seriously?
Yes. Oh, it was dumb.
Wait till we do Star Wars. I'll find something. I'm just gonna.
the dialogue in Star Wars is atrocious.
Anyway, I won't pick on.
But
I love the bear getting in the escape pod. Real quick though, you mentioned the escape pod. Do you know that escape pod scene? That is actually leftover Star Wars footage that they didn't use.
Really?
Yes, it is. So when the pods are actually not the bear getting in and all that,
but when they leave.
When they leave.
Okay.
When you see him shooting out, that is actual Star Wars footage that was not used.
It looked familiar.
Yeah.
So okay, that's good to know.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, and also the last thing I'll say, and then I'll be quiet. But just the fact that even and I get it because you're referencing the Planet of the Apes afterwards, but just the fact that the maid turned into basically the head of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on now. I mean, I understand the maid and the suck. That was hilarious. I mean, and then we're going to switch it back to blow. But it's just the way that everything just reversed right back when they put it all back down. It was.
You do realize it's a comedy, right?
I know, but it's
a spoof. This is Mel Brooks.
I get it, but he's done a lot more intelligent spoofs. I know. So, but yeah, that's my feeling. That's my feeling.
I don't know if I can go on from now.
We can still be friends. It's okay.
Can we? Can we? Please subscribe. It means so much to us, to the channel. And share it so your friends can, or even your non-friends. I don't care.
Just send it out to everybody.
Yes.
And comment below. Let us know what your thoughts on Spaceballs
Your favorite quote.
Did you like it? What was your favorite scene? What was your favorite parody of in the movie? We want to know. That way we can have a communication back with you.